50% discount. So you have to cough up 150,000 per unit, okay? So 100 units, that's $15 million. We don't have that money, fine. Make it a running cost, right? Just like we have a mortgage. If you back into 150,000, what's the monthly payment? It's $750. You multiply that out, it comes out to roughly $1 million, right? Versus spending, if you look at the numbers, now, some people will say, especially the builders and the advocates, because you've got a Harvard professor who they pay to put out research, that only 0.6 of these units have children going to school. I would argue that that's sort of, very self-serving. But let's just take one child per family, per unit. You're getting 600 units. You do the math, you're going to get close to $6 million per year, right? Now, if we do it our way, it's less than $1 million. If we do it this way, where you tell the developer, I will pay you $750 per unit, it's 110 units. It's 6 times cheaper to do it this way with less congestion. I think we're just bending over backwards for these developers. We need to fight this properly.
Yeah.
You may disagree, but the thing is, it's a hugely important issue for our town.
Sure.
If your house was burning, you would be doing this. This is
My
our
house is
house. I paid a
burning.
lot of money to come
My
here.
town too, with all due respect. I
All
don't
due
know where you
respect
got
to you
your
too.
numbers from, but you're
My
wrong.
numbers
Are
are-
you a lawyer?
It doesn't matter who.
Yes, it does.
No, it
You're
doesn't. If your
destroying
house
my
is burning, you would fight.
service.
If it was
And
your
if you
house.
don't think we're fighting and
No, I don't
spending
think-
money to fight, what do you think, we hate our town?
1 minute. You were not on the board at the time, okay? I sent an email to all of them describing my numbers in detail. No one refuted my numbers, okay? And I can give you the sheet right now.
I don't, with all due respect, you do a lot of work. Your numbers, wherever they are, I
Not
can
the
say
wherever
right
they are,
now,
they're super important.
and it is super important. Do you think any of us want all those kids in the school? No. Do
So have you investigated any other way to do
We've
this?
investigated tons and we're still.
Which other way have you done? Have you addressed this
I can't
issue?
Because we're,
Yeah, I mean, you're asking rhetorical
Relax for a
questions.
second.
Yeah,
No, because it's going to affect our town
It's
and
gonna
my
affect
house.
all of us. It's going to
Well,
affect all of us. We've been working on this for a long time.
but I don't see any approach other than going down the developer route, okay?
That's not true.
Give me one way that you have addressed.
I can't now because it's in litigation. But you have to,
Forget the litigation.
no, I can't.
No, what I'm saying is,
based upon litigation. It's
One
a Supreme Court mandate, so that's why.
So we just have to basically say whatever the developers want.
No, well,
Never.
The
But
governing
you're going
body.
to build 600 units.
If you could let us talk, the governing body is represented by Affordable Housing Council. Its professionals have been addressing this for 2 years now, and they had an information session last year where we disclosed what we could talk about publicly in terms of the process, but we can't go
But let me
beyond
ask you a
talking
simple question, right? If we wanted to adopt a radically different approach, does this particular approach that is currently in front of the courts get impacted? Can we take a radically different approach?
All I'll say in response is that I know you like to put forward ideas thinking outside the box, and I appreciate that. I think that's great.
It is hugely important.
Unfortunately, we're constrained by the law. I mean,
But
please let me
but
finish.
I-
You gotta let me finish if you want to ask.
Okay, I just want a simple yes or no answer.
Okay, well.
And we're going to end this there.
Yes.
Okay, this can't go
No,
on for
no,
another
what I'm saying is, you got to give me an answer whether you can approach this problem differently.
Look, I
So
can
sure.
assure you that the governing body is reviewing every option that's possibly on the table. Unfortunately, it's not a very satisfactory response because you're not hearing the details, but we can't discuss these things publicly because there are people actively suing the township.
Can I ask you one thing if I can?
Sure.
Stop me if I can. And I'd be happy to sit down with you one-on-one, instead of out in the cold and say what I think I can say. Where we're going on this path can be changed, correct?
I mean, right now, there's a fairness hearing coming up, but right now, there's no order entered by the court, so it's fluid.
Once you have the agreement by the judge, it's a done deal. Okay, come on. Let's
If
not.
the judge approves
Yeah.
a form of
And
settlement.
I was in that courtroom
Right,
that day. by the way.
and what you're missing is that this
There's
isn't the
fairness,
township
there's peace.
sitting there with the judge sitting there. Fair Share Housing, which is a special interest group that's appointed by the Supreme Court, and they basically are able to dictate their position to the court, and it's an adverse proceeding. And not to mention there are two developers who have also intervened in the litigation pursuing their interests.
Right.
So this isn't just.
Yeah.
But you know, what I'm saying is, the township is on the hook to deliver 110 houses, right?
We
That's the
actually,
litigation.
I can't even tell you what we're on the hook for.
Okay, fine, fair
That's what
enough,
the
but-
litigation's all about.
Given the data that you've given us, there seems to be an agreement that that's what we're going to propose.
There's
because
not.
That's what's there.
There's not.
Agreement within the township, because that was
No.
what you approved yourself.
There's not. And
Well-
unfortunately, we have to abide by a settlement agreement that we had to negotiate with Fair Share. That may go out the window, and what might happen with that will end up in litigation, and they might come back and say we have to build 500 affordable units. So that's why the committee's been working diligently to try to accommodate what Fair Share is expecting from us. And we can't talk about it until the negotiations are done. That's probably it in a nutshell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I got one other issue.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's hugely important
You're
too.
ruining it for everyone, because we have an ordinance that allows 3 minutes. So you know what's gonna happen, I'm gonna come to the next meeting, and these guys to my left and my right.
Okay, I'll just
are
say
gonna
it in one
insist
sentence.
that I keep everybody to 3
I'll say it in
minutes.
one sentence. Different topic.
Go ahead, one sentence.
The two pilot programs took away $160 million from the schools. What are we planning to do with that money? And I know this is a long-term thing, I'd like to have a plan of how that money is going to be spent.
Thank you.
Follow-up. Just a quick on the rec, 1 sentence.
Promise it's one sentence?
Leah Shave, 11 Ladwood Drive, in Holmdel, obviously. So I'm going to start off with the rec committee, because I'm on the ad hoc committee. I have to say, I didn't get an email about this meeting on the 20th, so I'm a little bit shocked, because I'm on the committee, and I didn't receive an email. The next thing, too, is I've gotten numerous emails on possible candidates that were that group of 10. Valerie's name was not mentioned one time, and I just looked through them all. I never saw her name mentioned, so I'm bringing it up here that's a surprise to me, because I thought, quite honestly, on the rec committee, we were supposed to vote on that. I did push, and as well as other members did, for representation of the swim club. That was, I don't know why there isn't somebody there now, but Valerie is, when I never saw her name mentioned. I also, and a few other people did push for special needs, which is not on there also. I also know if you mentioned somebody for the arts. It does seem very sports heavy, which again was brought up in numerous emails by members of the committee. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. And I'm also going to share that people on the committee also were in agreement that the results should have been released. So being a member, I can't speak for everybody, but I can just say what I saw in emails going by. So that's a little shocking to me to just get word tonight here that there was a meeting for next week when I was actually on the committee. So I'm really disappointed in that, and I don't know how that happened. I'm also going to say that, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a robocall delivered to every house in Holmdel? And wasn't there also a mailing that was done to every home? Plus, it was posted on the township website. I don't know how much more you could put this in front of the public than what we did. I really don't. This was never discussed, this ancillary meeting in the public in any of the meetings that we had as far as the rec committee went. This is the first I'm hearing of it. So that, again, I'm really disappointed, and I do believe that this is a way for people to weigh in on survey results that they weren't happy with. So I'm disappointed now, being a member of this committee and feeling like my role is being diminished greatly, and the role of the rec committee is being diminished in lieu of the rec results not being what certain people had wanted to see. So that's extremely disappointing. And it really puts in a bad light, because I don't think it was meant to go this way, and unfortunately it's going this way. So my next point that I would like to bring up again is the firehouse in my side of town. And I have a question. Are all Holmdel fire trucks currently functioning? Yes. On the record, all fire trucks are currently 100% operable.
On the record, what do you mean? I mean, to my knowledge, I mean, they go in for repairs. When you say Holmdel fire trucks, the ones that the township owns, the ones that the fire department owns?
The ones, I don't know what the difference, let's say the ones both. How about that?
The ones both. I don't know the
That are
ones
owned
both.
by the
I don't know the
township,
ones
owned
both.
by the firehouses.
I don't know.
I was standing at the corner, and saw a Tinton Falls fire truck pull right past the Holmdel fire truck and start pouring water on the fire, and the Holmdel fire truck, which was the same exact, hook and ladder with, I shouldn't say hook and ladder with a cherry picker, was not being operable.
If a fire truck was on scene, they were operable.
I was there myself and it wasn't working. It was not there. I mean, people were not utilizing it. It wasn't pouring water. I have pictures of it. So then my next question would be is, when was the last time there was a third-party fire inspection conducted, and are the trucks subject to that, and would all of them meet the standards?
I can't answer that. I'm not privy to that information.
Okay, well, knowing that this firehouse in this side of town has been closed for going on, almost 5 years, that's really troubling. I would like to also know, what's been done to recruit firemen, because, well, I know I hear tremendous, but we got mailings over at Turffield. We got, within a month of, unfortunately, Mayor Critelli being mayor, that they were asking on Facebook for people to run as candidates, that we don't see anything even remotely close to volunteer firemen being recruited. There was one Facebook post, but again, that's one in how many years? I haven't seen a mailing asking for it. I haven't seen a tabling at any kind of township events. This is going on 4 to 5 years now, and this is really bad. And I think it's just luck that something hasn't happened worse than this. And I really encourage that there be an inspection done of the fire equipment here in town, that all of it be inspected properly and they meet the standards, because I'm thinking from what I saw, they don't. So that's my recommendation. Thank you.
So, one sentence you had, right? One question, one follow-up question?
With regard to the rec survey,
Yep.
do both the plus and the open, I thought the survey was good. It covered a range of activities.
Okay.
When we heard in one of the response to one of the answers about the 10 interviews that are being done, I was bothered by the fact that it was dominated by organized active sports. There was nothing with regard to passive recreation. You just mentioned arts, all of the other kinds of recreational activities that are in fact going on in town. So I thought the interview group was, shall we say, I don't know, biased, it's not an equitable covering the total set of fields of what people are really interested in.
Thank you. Karen?
He's not taking people twice.
Karen Strickland, 26 Hayward Hills. I just have a question on the affordable housing. I was under the impression that no one could purchase out of it and pay money to get out of the obligation, and I'm wondering how Bellworth was able to pay to get out of the obligation.
That was before my time, but it was part of the redevelopment negotiations like 6 or 7 years ago. I really can't answer that. None of us were here back then.
Yeah, and it's not like what you're considering the old RA, what were they called? RCAs.
Regional contribution.
Yeah, that's not an RCA. His obligation is either to provide the housing or give us money so we can give it to a developer to provide the housing.
So it's separate.
So, yeah, so we're not shipping them off to another town. He's giving us money rather than building them himself.
Okay.
If he chooses to do that. Again, we don't know what he's going to do yet.
All right, so we kind of just gave that gift to him?
That was part of the redevelopment agreement. He had some different options that he could either build them or get give a contribution in lieu.
Okay, thank you.
And I would just note, I don't think it's fair to characterize it at all as a gift. I mean, the reason why the township entered into a redevelopment agreement was in order to rectify a situation where there's 2 million vacant square feet of office space, and so the redevelopment agreement reflects, the developer getting something out of it in exchange for obligations, including in this case, several $1 million in all likelihood, or fulfilling an affordable housing obligation.
Although I remember at those meetings that he was saying that there was going to be affordable housing in the building. At the time of the proposal to us, it felt very clear that there was going to be affordable housing within the building, and so somehow it kind of evolved out.
Right, the plan doesn't say that.
And I do have to say that I'm feeling a little bit ornery about the library over there, because that library feels like it's a gift from Holmdel residents to all the people who work in that building and the people who are going to live near it. And it's really hard to get into. You have to kind of drive around. There are no signs to get to the library. You have to. drive around to find how to go in, and you have to walk a long way, and if you have a wheelchair or a stroller, you have to walk, park in the parking lot too, and then go around to the front, and it's a beautiful facility, don't get me, I think it's gorgeous, but it really has lost a lot of the homey feeling, and so that's partly why I'm saying this gift word.
We're aware of it, Karen.
Yeah,
Donna can answer that.
Yeah, so the wayfinding signs that you're speaking about, tell you where to go, they're still being designed and approved, so they're coming up soon. We would have hoped they were up sooner. As far as spaces for the library, today or yesterday, 4 went up in the front for library patrons, right in the front next to the handicap. We couldn't go take over the handicap. Parking lot 2 will also have some more parking, and there'll be a ramp there as well. So these are just things that are coming along. It's just, we need some time to get it done, that's all. But it's in the plan.
That's why.
It's in the plan.
I wasn't going to say anything about it, but you said get it.
Yeah, no, I always just respond with
It's in the
respect to the
plan.
whole plan, I think, yeah, absolutely,
We-
all right.
Kenny, 1 sentence or less.
What's a half a sentence? Getting a little ago. Several minutes ago, somebody said something about some meetings were posted on Facebook. Please be aware that not everybody in the world is on Facebook. If you wish to take care of township business, please use the website or robocalls, because I, for one, can't waste my time on Facebook.
Understood. Yes.
I'm Janet Nisi, 7 Country Square Lane, Holmdel. I have 2 items also, same 2 that you've heard before. I'm just another voice, so I want you to understand how important some of these things are to us. First one is the survey. I went to a lot of meetings early on, and I was at the meeting when someone said, let's do the survey, and everything that came out of it, including the committee, and I don't want to rehash all of it. But at the meetings I was at, I was under the impression that the survey was more than what I heard, like 20%, or it almost sounded like it's a minor input. When we talked about the survey, and I think it was Pam Peveduta had said, you'll get your input, the survey is going to be a great thing because everyone in town has the opportunity to participate in that. And as you know, it was a long time coming. And a lot of people gave a lot of thought into creating the survey. I was not one of them, but I had a lot of thought in my responses as well. I was not aware of the meeting, and when I heard public input or public information, I thought it was you guys giving a presentation about the survey, not asking for more information, more input, because you basically have input from anyone in the town who wanted to present information to you or provide any input. So I agree with the other people that it is going to look very bad. It's going to look like one or more groups is going to try and pack that meeting, like we had a couple of township meetings that were packed. So that's going to invalidate everything we've achieved so far. So I would urge you, please try not to have that meeting, or make it where you present to the town rather about what you've done so far. Maybe you can't do all the data, but at least give some information or describe the survey or something. But it almost sounded like that public input session was going to have as much weight as the survey, which to me is ridiculous. The other thing is, I live on the southern end of town also, and I'm one of many people who are very upset about the firehouse issue. I heard, yes, okay, so people in southern Holmdel are not volunteers for the fire department. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have some kind of coverage. So I would rather pay money to pay firefighters than necessarily have certain other things that we're paying for. It's really important. I watched Hopbrook. I watched that house go down. I also saw the house that's on Main Street. It's horrendous. At some point, we're going to lose some lives. So if it takes a petition, we'll go out and get a petition to let you guys know how important it is to the southern end of town.
I don't think you need to do a petition. We're very aware of it.
Okay.
It's a priority of mine to make sure we do the right analysis, and we will come forward with some sort of plan that hopefully satisfies all the residents. It's not the southern side versus the center of town. It's,
But we feel like we have no representation.
Because you lost the firehouse on Main Street, I get it. We're gonna take care of it, trust me on that.
Do you, I haven't looked at the township website, but do you communicate that information that you just said to me? Like, hey, we understand there's an issue here and we're looking into it. Just, because I personally feel that maybe I'm not hearing the urgency from this township committee.
The first newsletter of 2018 will be going out in another week to 10 days, so it will be addressed.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the library. I used to work at Bell Labs for over 20 years, and I thought it was, although I thought it was a great thought to have the library there, I also understood all the handicap stuff, and I'm saying where that library is, because I had to walk into that building from far, because I never got there on time. And I was just thinking, mostly, I mean, our library is often used by young kids, and now I'm an old person, but old people. And that's like a horrendous building for old people. So anything that you can do.
We're trying.
And keep doing it.
We're trying.
It's a
Okay.
work in process.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Carol.
Just one quick question.
No.
You guys are killing it. Last question of the night, Carol Baum.
Okay. Carol Balmer, 96 Middletown Road. The meeting is next Tuesday, is that correct?
Yes.
What is the publication time for a meeting? Or maybe the
It's
township
not a-
committee?
it's not
This is not a township
it's not
meeting.
So
a
the township committee's not going to be there, so you have to
No.
worry about
Nope.
Correct.
statutory
This is
compliance.
the township engine, correct, exactly.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we have one more. You haven't asked the question. Come on up.
I'm gonna be quick. My name is Nancy Cagliostro. I think most of you know me. 214 Pebble Beach Court, Holmdel, New Jersey. The first thing I'll say is I live not on the south end of Holmdel, so I'm right near Hazlitt and Keyport that have very vibrant fire departments. But I care about my fellow residents on the south. And as far as and so, because I would hate to see a young child or anybody get hurt by this. And the only thing I want to say is, instead of all of this fanfare with this recreation stuff, let's put to the top of the list this fire department thing. If it's going to take some reasonable analysis to get a final solution, let's make sure we get an interim one before somebody dies, okay? Or to have 15, 20 minutes to have a house burned, that's pretty bad. And I know you guys, look, this is not a criticism of you guys, because I know all of you, because I'm on the president of my association. I know you have to care an awful lot about your town or your community to serve, you know, and do what you have to do. But the thing is there's a lot of bodies that run under you that need to get a little kick in the butt, okay, to do the right thing. And that's what I'm asking all of you guys to do, is make sure all of the rest of them follow on from suit. I mean zoning boards, planning boards, and engineers, okay? They're giving the town away, okay, to developers. And the main reason why I came here, I was in New York City and had a run here to make sure I could come to let you know I don't want to be forgotten on my issue, Verde Woods. Another example of a developer, okay, that if we don't press their heads at the initial points of the planning, they're like a running train going down, and at the end, it's, oops, they didn't comply. And I can't stand, I look at this report here and I see a developer saying, well, if you make me do this, I can't abide by that. Why can't they abide by both? We're sending a very bad message to developers that you can, pardon my language, piss on Holmdel, okay? And that's happening over on Main Street with that gas station, okay? That guy made promises and he's not keeping them. Okay? We've got to make them keep them in the beginning, that they don't go one further in digging soil, putting a piece of equipment any place, till they have abided by it, and once they violate it, everything stops. And I'm saying the engineers as well, because I sat in those meetings, and I'm saying, isn't the engineer for me or for them? I represent, as I mentioned before, and I'm repeating myself, 500 residents that are watching, 250 homes, 500 residents. That's a lot of people in Holmdel that can change elections. And we contribute over $13 million to the tax coffers. Pay attention, please. I have this Thursday an association meeting, and I want to tell them how great our township committee members are, that they're on our side. But I can't tell them that till you kick the butts of the people that are not following your perspective. And I mean planning boards and zoning boards. Get people who care about the town back again in those places. I'm sorry.
Public portion. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Good night, everybody.
All right.